Is the Democratic Party afraid of people of color voting for Donald Trump? Is that what it is? Are they afraid of suburban women voting for Donald Trump? Is that what it is? Donald Trump wants everybody's vote counted. That's legal. Transparency is important. Every legal vote being counted is important. And that Donald Trump has been fighting for every American. It doesn't matter what your color was or your gender. And look at the numbers. Look at the numbers from Donald Trump. He gained more people of color votes than any other Republican going back to the 60s.
So we're waiting for US President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., to start speaking there. So there are some other speakers before that. Stan, what did you make of
that was Vernon Jones, who was a Georgia politician. Interesting that you would use an African-American man
And just ahead of this address by Donald Trump Jr., just going to some of the latest figures that we have from both Pennsylvania and Georgia. Actually, let's take a listen in.
Party, we are committed to the counting of every lawful vote, and we're committed to no unlawful vote being counted. And it's my privilege to introduce to you Representative Vernon Jones.
Thank you. Yeah. Hello, America. In case y'all didn't know, I'm a Southerner, and we believe in fighting. This fight is just getting started. We're starting now to see the white of their eyes, and we get ready to start shooting. Let me tell you something. The people of this state, Georgians, the voters of this state, has a right to have their vote not only counted, but they need to know the results here in Georgia. When I look at these communities, these Democratic-led cities where votes haven't come in yet, that tells me right there what we've been saying all along. This is a failure, and this is actually a part of the pandemic of failure of the Democratic leadership. It doesn't matter what color you are or what party you are. Your vote deserves to be counted, and we need to know what those results are. We need to know now. How in the hell you can send a man to the moon, but you can't get results in 24 hours? Something's wrong with that. Let me tell you, I'm cut from the same cloth that Donald Trump is cut from. We fight. We're not about to even concede to anybody. We are going to stay on the battlefield until the last man drops. Let me tell you that right now. And I'm honored to stand with some of the most incredible fighters, truth fighters, with me behind me. They'll be talking in a minute, but I want to say to you right now, transparency is important. Every legal vote being counted is important. What the posters have done and the far left has done, and there's been no fair fight, it's been a legal fight. The fight's been fixed. That's real voter suppression. That is real voter suppression. I want to say to the great Georgians here tonight and across this country, everybody, Georgia is one of the original 13 colonies. And we're going to stand up for our lefts, and we're going to stand up for our voting rights too. We're going to fight this to the end. There's been too many irregularities. There's been too many votes uncounted. There's been votes that are showing up out of nowhere. Where in the hell did that come from? Donald Trump wants everybody's vote counted. That's legal. That's legal. How does a box of votes just show up the day after the election and we count those? Where are they coming from? Who's bringing their ballots going unsigned? Where's that coming from? There has been no transparency in Georgia. There's been no transparency in our election process. Something is wrong, and we are going to question every single ballot that was cast in Georgia. Is the Democratic Party afraid of people of color voting for Donald Trump? Is that what it is? Are they afraid of suburban women voting for Donald Trump? Is that what it is? Something is wrong here. And for the media and others not to question this process, that tells me many of you are in cahoots with them. That's right. All of you have been reporting Joe Biden up 10 points here, and one even said 17 points. You know what that was doing? You interfered more with this election than the damn Russians has. Let me tell you, we're not going to stand for that. We're not going to back down. We're going to fight. We don't cut and run. We're going to fight. This is a battle cry. You damn right, this is a battle cry. We have worked too hard and too long, and that Donald Trump has been fighting for every American. It doesn't matter what your color was or your gender. And if he could put his life on the line, we love Trump. We love Trump. If he could put, we love Trump. Okay, we love Trump. But if Donald Trump and Kimberly and America, Doug Collins, all of them. But my point is, America, my point is, Georgia, that we believe in the process. But this process has been tainted. And if you taint it for one party, you taint it for the other party. If you taint it for one American, then you taint it for all Americans. And we're not going to stand for this. And you know who's another fighter that's coming here, that's here tonight? I don't know who fights the most, him or his father. That Don Jr., you don't want to be in the ring with Don Jr. He learned it from his daddy. But he cares. He cares about this state, and he cares about this country. And they have a track record of resolving issues and addressing issues in the state of Georgia for every American. And so I want to say to the press, so you can get the word out right now, this is my last point. We ain't bullshitting. Stacey Abrams, you want a fair fight? Bring it on. Bring it on. You've been like a vacuum cleaner, getting all of this underground money. We need to see where it's coming from and how you're spending it. But I know one thing, you're spending it on suppressing black people and other people. You're suppressing them. You know how you suppress? Because you're intimidating people for having their individual thoughts and their individual concerns. And because they don't support your agenda, you don't want them to vote. You don't want them to come out and speak their minds. What you're trying to do is keep them on that plantation. That's right. But many of us are giving the key to that suite. We have left that damn plantation, and we're never coming back. And look at the numbers. Look at the numbers from Donald Trump. He gained more people of color votes than any other Republican going back to the 60s. And the difference between him and Joe Biden is, Joe got a dream. If after 47 years you give me a chance, I'll get it right this time. But Donald Trump took 47 months, and he has a solid record of accomplishments. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to another firebrand, Congressman Doug Collins. Give him a hand.
Okay, we'll leave that there for the moment. So we're waiting for US President Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., to start speaking there. So there are some other speakers before that. But you can tell from the tone of that they're continuing with this line from Donald Trump that the election has been stolen from him. Stan, what did you make of
that was Vernon Jones, who is a Georgia politician. Interesting that you would use an African-American man as well, because there has been some drift of African-American men, particularly to Donald Trump. He made an allegation, he made a claim there that Trump got the greatest number of African-American votes of any Republican since the 60s. We'll have to double-check that. But there has been a block of African-American men who have gone to Trump. And that's interesting as well, of course, because Kamala Harris was on the ballot for Joe Biden, who will be the first African-American woman as vice president. And there's been some tension around that within the black community as well, because she, of course, in her record as Attorney General in California, was accused of passing legislation and locking up a lot more black men. So Trump has fed into that as well. But that's interesting that Vernon Jones would be there and to represent that. And listen to what he said. This is a battle. We won't leave the battleground. Donald Trump's a fighter, turning to Donald Trump Jr. and saying he learnt from his daddy. He learnt to be a fighter from his daddy. And that may be an indication of what we've been talking about here earlier today, that the next iteration of Trumpism is the Trump children rather than the Republican Party. Here's the thing with this, though, Joe. How much of this has been about the Donald Trump brand, the Donald Trump charisma, that Donald Trump is one out of the box. He's part of that Barnum and Bailey circus tradition of America. He's the carny. He's the person who speaks to that vaudevillian American persona. He was known from television because of The Apprentice. He's flamboyant. He will say things that other people won't say. Now, I don't see that in Donald Trump Jr. I don't see the same sort of person with the same force of personality. So how much of this is about the ideas and how much of this is about the individual? I suspect it was Donald Trump as a catalyst for the pent-up anger that has created what we call Trumpism. Whether that can be handed successfully to his children, though, is entirely another matter.
Okay, well, while we're waiting for Donald Trump Jr. to step up, we might go to Casey Briggs to get the very latest on the situation with the count in both Pennsylvania and Georgia.